Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So finally, Sati left her husband and alone she proceeded towards her father's house. Even though Lord Shiva tried to dissuade her not to go, giving so many reasons as to why she should not go. Nevertheless, because of her attachment for her parents' house, she did not heed to the advice and she decided to go alone. So, she started moving very fast, very rapidly she is going. And Prabhupada says, she is going rapidly so that she might not be stopped. Somehow or other she has already decided to go. And till now Lord Shiva has not stopped her. But probably if she goes, there is possibility that he may stop. So she is moving very fast. And she is moving without fear. So the word which is used here is gatha vyathaha, without fear. So Prabhupada explains, Sati did not care that she was going alone. Therefore, she was almost fearless. Generally, we are fearful when we are alone. Just like a sannyasi, when he goes alone, leaving aside everything, he is in the forest. Sannyasi is supposed to be fearless, understanding actually he is not alone. So-called people in this world on whom we are dependent, and falsely we become fearless being dependent on them. And sannyasi, when he has to give up and he has to travel alone, so generally this mentality of dependence on people, on society, on people, so that will still be there in our mind. But a sannyasi is supposed to realize that actually he is not alone. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always accompanying him. This is the difference between people that they are dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus they are very fearless. In 7th Canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Hiranyakashipu is giving some instructions to his relatives, specifically to his mother, Diti, who is very bereaved because of death of her son Hiranyaksha. And he is also addressing the wife of Hiranyaksha and the other relatives. who are all in distress because of his death. So while instructing them, he tells about one incident which happened in the past. The incident concerns one king by name Suyagna, who was a great king, very chivalrous, but somehow he died in the battlefield. So he had many queens, all of them came there and surrounded, and they were crying. So they were in deep lamentation, beating their chest, their tears gliding down and falling at his feet. And they were so attached to the king that they did not allow his body to be carried for funeral. So, their lamentation was heard even by Yamaraj, and who saw that these queens are so foolish, being attached to that dead body. Nothing is there in that body now, it is a dead body. That they are not allowing even the final rites to be done. As per the Vedic principles, until and unless the body is cremated, generally a next body is not given. He will roam around in ghostly body. So Yamaraj was compassionate on the king that he should not get this kind of destination because of this foolishness of his relatives. So he came as a boy, because generally when a boy is speaking philosophy, many people will be amazed and they will take it more seriously. So he came as a small boy and he started speaking to these relatives. So the very first thing that boy, who was actually none other but Yamaraj, spoke to this relative was that we are a small child, and by age you are very elderly. And even though as a child we were left uncared for, unprotected in the jungle, still we are alive. We are not eaten away by some ferocious animals, even though there are so many ferocious animals. So, it is by the Lord's mercy that if He wants to protect someone, then no one can kill him, even though there may be circumstances that there is no one to give him protection. Whereas, if the Lord's sanction is not there, His protection is not there, even though one may be a great king, one may be having so many relatives, one may be having so many people, big military, big army, everything, but he may still die. So, we should just go on with our duties, depending on the Supreme Lord. So actually this is a real meaning of being fearless. That it is by the mercy of the Lord, if He wants me to be protected, He will protect me. And if it is His desire that this body be finished, then no one can stop it. So what is there to be fearful about? Just like Srila Prabhupada, when he was preaching in the Western countries, some of his disciples, they were arrested. So Srila Prabhupada told them, he said that in spite of all these circumstances, you do not be fearful in preaching Krishna consciousness. What is there to fear about? Even if they put you inside the jail, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Isn't it? We carry on with our duties, whatever the circumstances may be there. And that is why it is said in Bhagavatam that Narayana Parah Sarve Nakutaschana Bibhyati. Those who are dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, those who are surrendered to the Supreme Lord, they are never afraid in any circumstances. Na kutaschana bibhyati. Swargeshu narkeshu tulyadapi darshanat. They have no such distinction that this is Swarga, a very comfortable place, and this is Naraka, a very horrible place. They do not make any distinction. So, this is the secret of becoming fearless. When one surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just like Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, Maro bhi rakho bhi je ichha tomar. It is your desire, my dear Lord, not that you have to give protection to this body. Devotee is not praying like that. The pure devotional service means whether you kill me, you embrace me, or you leave me, you are completely free. You are the master. It's not that I have to dictate, you do like this. I am servant, you are the master. Not that I will dictate. So, that is how one becomes fearless. So, generally speaking, we find people, when we are surrounded by relatives, when we are surrounded by people, by society, we are practically like that we are fearless. But actually that is not the real cause of being fearless. Fear is hidden in the heart. It is only we are covering up that fear for some time. Prabhupada gives that example. When a cat is drinking milk, and if somebody approaches there, cat sometimes just closes its eyes. Just by closing the eye, the danger has not disappeared. The danger is still there. We have closed our eyes to that danger. Similarly, being surrounded by relatives, being surrounded by money, being surrounded by society, a person becomes careless. And out of that carelessness, he will become fearless. Here also we see Sati is careless. So this symptom of being freed from fear actually is a very good quality, no doubt about it. But not being because of being careless, that is not the idea of a devotee. Devotee is very careful because a devotee understands that everything is arranged by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is by His sanction that everything is arranged. So whether people are there with me or people are not there with me, the Supreme Lord is always accompanying me. So He is fearless in that understanding. So this is one of the spiritual qualities. Sometimes we find even if a person is very fearful, but when his mind is very raised, when a person's mind is very raised because of some kind of distress or inimical feeling, he becomes fearless. That is how we find a person commits suicide. When a person is very distressed, then he becomes careless. Doesn't matter what happens, let me go and commit suicide. He takes away his body. So not that kind of fearlessness. Real fearlessness comes when one surrenders to the lotus feet of the Lord, from whom even the fear personified fears. If we surrender unto Him, then automatically one becomes fearless. This is one of the spiritual qualities. Abhayam. It is one of the spiritual qualities. Generally, even though sometimes in devotional service, we have taken up in devotional service, but still we are fearful of what may happen in future. Today, institution is taking care of me. Tomorrow, if the institution does not take care of me, what will happen? So better let me make my own arrangements. Isn't it? Actually, these are not qualities of a devotee trying to advance in spiritual life. Prabhupada explains that in the African jungle, there are elephants who eat tons and tons and tons of food. If the Lord is arranging for even an animal who is not going and praying to the Lord that you arrange for my maintenance, if he is arranging for maintenance of even animals, will he not maintain his devotee who is surrendered to him? Isn't it? This is a confidence a devotee has. Avashya Rakshibe Krishna. Krishna will surely give me protection. This is one of the important limbs of surrender. So this is a very important quality that devotee, he is fearless because of his dependence on the Supreme Personality of Godhead and not out of carelessness or some kind of material circumstances of anger or some kind of distress which makes one careless about this material body and material circumstances, and he appears to be fearless. That is not right. Another important thing which we can see here is Lord Shiva is very caring. You see? Even though Sati is living in spite of disregarding his instructions, Sati has left the house, and that too alone. She is not supposed to go alone. Generally, a woman is not supposed to go alone like that. She still goes out of her emotional attachment. But Lord Shiva is very caring. He is immediately thinking about giving her protection, that she should not go alone. And the followers of Lord Shiva, Anucharai, they are very sensitive. They are able to understand the desire of their master. And sometimes we are so foolish. Prabhupada explicitly says so many things and we don't understand his desire. We still try to carry on with our own desires. A real disciple means, even without being said, understanding the purpose of his spiritual master. Prabhupada is explaining this. All of them could understand the desire of Shiva, who did not want Sati to go alone. Anucharaha means those who can immediately understand the purpose of their master. So similarly, we also have to become so sincere in our service to Srila Prabhupada that we will be able to understand the desires of Srila Prabhupada. Just like Srila Prabhupada could understand the desire of his spiritual master. And he took that desire to his heart. So much so that Srila Prabhupada actually knew, and he wrote, I have neither devotion, even though I am entitled as Bhakti Vedanta. I have been given the title, but neither I have devotion, nor I have Vedanta, nor I have knowledge. But if you want, my dear Lord, you can make anything possible. So, even though Srila Prabhupada was so humble, where he felt he is not qualified, but he knew there is a strength in carrying out the orders of the spiritual master, in carrying out his desires. Whether we fail to carry out, whether there is no result, that is not our business. Our business is to simply try to carry it out. We should not get distracted thinking about, I am powerless, what will happen? That means we have no faith in the instructions of the spiritual master. It is not dependent on my strength. It is dependent on how much we want to follow. Then automatically the Supreme Lord arranges everything. Whatever is required for the mission of a pure devotee, if we are sincere, if we are sincerely endeavoring to carry out that order, all helps, everything will manifest, everything will come. It is just like when a child has become mature, the father is ready to give him all kinds of facilities of taking care of his house, his business, everything. The more the child becomes mature, the more the father gives him that. So similarly, when the Supreme Lord sees that we have become mature in understanding the desires of Srila Prabhupada, and we will not misuse those facilities. And if externally we have desire, I want to preach, I want to propagate Krishna consciousness, I require these facilities. But Krishna is more smarter than us. He knows that these facilities, if I give, then this fellow will, go away from Krishna consciousness. Isn't it? So Krishna may not give. So we have to wait till we become more and more mature and we know how to handle different kinds of material facilities which are actually meant for propagating Krishna consciousness. So we should be like these Anucharaha, the disciples of Lord Shiva. This is a lesson we should all take, that they were so matured enough to understand the desires of their master that immediately, without caring whether we will be killed there, no, this is our master's desire. He wants to give protection to Sati. Not that Sati did not listen, so why we should bother? No. They are just trying to carry out the desires of their master. So similarly, we should be ready to give our whole life and soul to try to carry out the desires of our spiritual master. So these are some of the things we can see from this purport. We'll stop with this. Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Vishnu Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.